readers. For the last few days we've been talking about the benefits of a reading community, right? We know that in reading communities we recommend books to each other. We know that we refer each other to different books. We do readers' theaters. We have book clubs. So we've been learning what's important in a reading community, right? Today, we are going to think about that question in the back of our mind as we also think about our new question, which is sneaking behind the board, which is how do readers plan for a summer reading life? It's also up on our big idea board. How do readers plan for a summer reading life? We've talked a little bit about how reading is a little bit different during the summer than it is during the school year. And right now, Dominic, I just want you to spend some thinking time, thinking about how and why it might be important to plan for our summer of reading before we actually jump into our summer of reading. So the question we're thinking about right now is, why is it important to plan ahead of time for a summer reading life? So why don't you just sit down in your thinking chair. Think. 20 seconds. Why plan for summer reading? So you're making a tricky. 10 more seconds. Why plan for summer reading? I see Maddie's counting her reasons in her mind. Sebastian's counting off his reasons. Okay, thumbs up if you're ready. So why plan for a summer reading life before we actually launch into our summer reading life? Turn to one or two people around you and share your thoughts. Super. Who thought their partner did a great job explaining why it's important to plan for a summer reading life? What do you think? Sailor, who was your partner and what did your partner say?
Gracie was my partner and she said because when you go to the library or at your house, you won't be confused because then if you plan before, you'll know what books you want to choose at the library.
So you're thinking that you're obviously going to make some trips, Annabelle, to the library during the summer, right? And you want to have an idea of what you want to read at the library. Thank you. Xander, who was your partner?
Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, like, you don't want to get a random book from the library because you like it and even though you have it at home, you want to pick some new book to challenge yourself.
Okay, so you're really thinking about challenging your abilities with the books that you choose to read and not just picking random ones out of the air. Thank you. All right, Aubriana, who was your partner?
Annabelle.
And what did she say?
And she said you want to like expand what looks good for your eyes instead of just one, like having tunnel vision on one genre of book. Expand your genres of books that you would like to read.
Okay, so we want to expand our reading horizons, right? We talk about appropriate times to have tunnel vision and times when we want to expand. And the summer, thank you, Aubriana, is a time when we want to expand. Malia?
My partner was Chloe, and she said so that you don't just go into a book in a room with stacks of books in it and you judge it by its cover. You say, this one has an ugly person on it. I'm not going to read it.
So we're thinking about having a plan for what we want to read ahead of time so that we don't have to be fooled by covers. All right, thank you. Let's have Luke. Who was your partner?
Dominic.
And what did he or you talk about together?
We said that you can't just. It's good to plan ahead because if you just go into summer
Pause one
reading,
second. I'm noticing Savannah, Jessa, and Sebastian all looking right at Luke. That's respectful. That way they know that he's the speaker. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Luke.
You don't just get into summer reading and you think, don't want this book, don't want this book, don't want this book, and then you end up not reading anything because you're thinking, I've got time to read later, or I'll do it tomorrow, or
So it sounds like you're
I
thinking.
don't want, or this, I can't find any good books.
Okay, so it sounds like you're getting obstacles out of the way. You might feel like you're going to procrastinate for part of the summer, and then all of a sudden you're going to find yourself at the end of July and you haven't read any books, and you don't want that. Obviously you agree, Maddie? Thank you. You agree? Thank you. Okay, and Luke is also talking about removing the obstacles of I don't want to read this, I don't want to read this looks boring, right? There's a lot of excuses we can find, you understand? Good. To not read, right? So if we have a plan, we're going to get those excuses out of the way. Thank you. Let's hear from one more person. I'll pick a stick. Mason, who is your partner?
My partner was Haley.
And what did you two talk about?
We talked about where you're going to read, sort of like Luke's, and then you keep saying, maybe I'll read tomorrow. Oh, I think I read yesterday. I don't have to today.
So it sounds like you're again talking about getting rid of excuses not to read, right? You're all excellent readers. Thank you, Mason. You're all excellent readers. And so it's really important to keep that reading going over the summer because you've shot up like in terms of reading over the year, right? Everybody has got to be a better reader this year, yes? You agree? All right, everybody has got to be a better reader. There's not a single kid in my class who has just kind of stayed the same, right? You've learned new genres, you've worked on fix-up strategies. Look at all those thinking stems you've been using. You've learned how to share dialogue in a group. Wow, lots of agreeing going on. Excellent. So I want you to be able to keep those things strong. That's the why of why we plan for summer. We need to keep our strong reading muscles flexed. What we're going to do to start making a plan for summer is this summer reading list.
Yay!
It's sort of like a bingo board, but it has different thinking stems for, thank you. It has different thinking stems for what types of books you might read this summer. And then it has a spot here for you to free explore any ideas that you also think you might read. So I'd like to show you what this looks like because this is how we're going to start planning for a summer reading life. What we're doing is making a plan. How we're doing it is using this summer reading list board. And why we're doing that is so that we keep our reading muscles strong over the summer. Would you turn and look at the screen, please? Thank you for making the necessary adjustments to look at the screen. I trust you to make the best decision. Three, 2, 1, 0. Thank you. All right, here's our summer reading list. This is something you'll work on independently in a little while, but you've had some time to chat with some people around you too about why summer reading is important. Summer reading list. One box is going to say, a book you wanted to read this year but didn't get enough time. It's the kind of book where you go, nope, I ran out of time during the school year. Put that book here. A book or a magazine a friend recommended. That could be one that somebody told you directly or one that we put on our you should be reading this reading colony board outside, right? A book in a series, maybe a series you've already started or maybe a brand new series. A book recommended to you by a parent or teacher. Could be a parent, could be a teacher. I would even say it could be any other teacher in the building or any adult that you trust. A book recommended to you by a parent or teacher. Your own idea for what to read, that's in the middle because if this were a bingo board, it would say free, right? So in the middle, this will be your own idea for what to read. A book about a real life subject you enjoy. This is where we think about our interests. If you like surfing, read a book about surfing, right? If you like dolphins, choose that. If you like Godzilla, right, Charlie? But that's not a real life subject. So we really want to be thinking about real life things that you might enjoy. Something you could read that isn't a book or a magazine. Is your mind blown by that? At the beginning of the year, we talked about the different things that readers read. This is where, Dylan, you'll put something that you like to read that isn't a book or a magazine. Oh, a book by one of your favorite authors. If you loved Kate DiCamillo, when we did our author study of her, choose one of her books here. If you love R.L. Stine and the Creed books, put one here. A magazine that is interesting to you. So maybe you've done some reading of magazines and you'll put another one here that you enjoy. Or maybe you've not done a lot of reading magazines, Chloe, and so you'll want to put one here that you've never read before. And then here is where you can sort of free explore with your other summer reading ideas. Here's where you'll put your name. So here's our summer reading list. We're going to plan for a summer reading life a little bit. You'll take this back to your table and work on your plan. And then I'll have you keep your plan at your table because we'll reflect on it, Brianna, a little bit later. And then as soon as you're finished with your rough draft, because this will sort of be a rough draft, and we'll put some finishing touches on it later. When you're finished with this, keep it at your table, and you can just sort of morph right into independent reading. Jess, I need you to take a seat, kiddo. I'll call Book Nooks in a minute, but first I want to ask if there are any questions about this right now. Brianna 1, Luke 2, Sailor 3, Maddie 4, Nathan 5, Tracy 6, Olivia 7. 1?
For the summer reading ideas, the ones that we can think about, is there a limit of how many we have to put in there?
Nope. You have a whole summer of reading, so there's no limit. 2?
I've got your own idea of what a book or a magazine my friend recommended. I would want to put geography, and I was wondering if I could put geography again on something like this real life subject. Could I put geography twice?
Well, in an effort to keep as many options open, let's try to only put everything once. 2 or 3, sorry?
What if we,
You know what? Oh, okay, you switched it?
yeah, if we don't remember, like, the book that we wanted to read this year, but we didn't have time, what if, or if we don't remember, can we go in the library and see if we can find it?
That might be wise. That might be using your resources, right? Walter, why don't you take a seat, kiddo? I can't see Sailor very well. 4?
My question ready.
Thank you. 5?
Do we have to, like, fill one box in? Like, can we skip one?
Would you like to skip it and come back to it in a little bit?
Well,
That will be okay. But again, we're trying to keep our options as open as possible so we can try to fill up all of the boxes.
for me,
If you have a personal question, Nathan, you and I can confer about that in a little bit. Right? 6?
if we can't fill in one like a box right yet, can we go back to it another time? Like if we
When might be another time you're thinking of?
maybe like during independent reading, or like maybe when we're doing our finishing touches.
That's a good suggestion, Gracie. So Nathan,
Yeah.
in response to your question, Gracie's asking about maybe coming back to it later during workshop. I think that's okay. If you're having trouble coming up with to fill in all of the boxes and you want to come back during reading workshop, that's no problem. 7, last question, Olivia.
If we don't have like a book recommended to you by a parent or a teacher, do we have to fill it in if we have a time?
So you're trying to tell me I've not told you a single book this year that you should read? Not a single one.
Not even Florida House.
Not even all 4 books that we talked about last week during our author study. I haven't said those. I don't think that's true. If you are struggling for a book that a parent or teacher has recommended to you, it doesn't have to be official, like, whose name may I use?
This guy.
Aubriana. Aubriana, I formally recommend to you the following book. It could be like, oh, you should read something something. Oh, you liked this? You should try that. Or it could be any one of the books that I've recommended to you from my chair this year. when I've said, this is a great book, you should read it, right? Any one of the K.D. Camillo books would be a good choice too. So if you're struggling to think of books that I've recommended to you, I officially recommend all 4 books from our author study. Okay, let me read book notes so that everybody knows where they're going today. And then I will put the summer reading list on your table. You may work on that at your table. You may work on that at your table, and then you may disperse to your reading independent spots. Let's take a look. See.
Do you mean a look-see or do you mean look-sees?
That sounds the same to
Do you
me.
mean look-see or look-see?
Both. I mean both. Balls today. Charlie, Annabelle, Aubriana, Nathan. Stools, Haley, Jordan, Dylan, Xander, Sebastian. Pillows, Brianna, Chloe, Sarah. Olivia, Ethan, Aiden. Big pillows, Gracie, Savannah, Luke, Steven. That's rock and roll. Also, I need my pink group right up here to confer with me about Secret Garden as soon as your name is on your summer reading list. Okay, kiddos. We finally finished Secret Garden. Yes. Came to the last third, and I noticed that the way that we planned our reading plan, we had the longest portion to read at the very end. Did you notice that too? Okay, so we always start a reading club with a summary, but since we have a limited amount of time to talk about the book, and I know we could all talk all day about it, I want to make sure that we don't spend quite so much time on the summary today, so we'll try to keep our summary brief so that you can all share your thinking. I'm noticing that Aiden is focused on doing his job. Ethan is focused.
Part of like the moral of the story and flying in the halls.
Remember when we thought that was a ghost?
Yes.
That prediction was not correct, was it?
No.
So Savannah, what was it?
And it was Mr. Craven's son, Colin. And when she finally found him, he was like, I'm going to die. And he was pretty crappy.
And Gracie, how did Mary change Colin's perspective?
Well, they got into like this fight situation and talking about like each other's like negative sides and positive sides. So they both got mad at each other, but when Colin was like all crabby, he walked away, and Mary got mad, but she still got like the socializing with another person's, and then she turned out not to be as spoiled as she was.
And that was good for both Mary and Colin, right? We recognized that they were both sort of living independently from each other, and so they were living independent, selfish lives, and we discovered that it was better for them to be together. So that's about where we wrapped up, Malia, on the last set of reading. So take us from that section, from Colin recognizing that he wasn't so sick after all.
Well, I think that he just needed a little bit of caring because everybody else thought, would whisper in the halls, he's going to die, he's so spoiled, he's going to be hunchback. And he could hear them, but they didn't know. So he just needed to be cared for. And when Mary came and found him, she really cared for him. And even Mr. Craven didn't care for him.
His own father.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you continue the summary while I go solve some problems, okay? So Maddie, would you continue after what happens when Colin found out he wasn't sick?
I kind of think that Colin was kind of being a little spoiled than he normally was because when Mary started like kind of yelling at him, he kind of felt as if he was kind of like, whoa, what's happening now? I'm kind of feeling a little I'm not being ruled anymore because at first I got to do everything that I wanted, and now it's just lowering down into another step.
I would have two thinking stems to say. One is I respectfully disagree because I felt Colin was less spoiled than he was before because he was socializing with Mary. And then also, could you please unpack what you were saying a little?
Well, Colin was kind of all like, okay, what's happening here? I want to go outside, but I'm not gonna because I don't feel like it right now. I want to do this. No, now I want to do that. Where's my breakfast? Where's this? Where's that? Take me to my couch. And he was a little bit too about.
He was like that, wasn't he?
He was very bossy with Mary and the nurses because at first when they met, he was like, what are you doing here? Get out of here. Shoo, scat.
So he was very rude to all the adults, right? But eventually, after Mary kind of threw a fit at him, do you remember this part from last week? When Mary threw a fit at him, he finally pulled it together and decided that he wasn't going to be so crabby anymore.
Yeah.
And what was these two big events, right? If we think about summarizing, we think about the main events and the details, what were two big events that happened in this last part? So, yeah?
One of them is Colin goes into the secret garden.
Yes.
And another is like really at the very end. Mr. Crane comes home and finds out that Colin's is good. And he found out they've been in the garden. And I think that he opens up the garden and that's
And then it's not so secret anymore.
I was like almost my eyes were overflowing with tears at that part. That
You were
was
getting a
so
little,
sad.
you were so moved.
I was almost crying.
That was a great part. All right, you all have a sticky note, and since we've finished our summary, we know that it all turns out happy in the end when Colin walks, right? So I'm curious what thinking stem you found and how you managed to share it. But let's take a look at our sharing of a dialogue in group a minute, so that we remember to respectfully converse with each other. And I know you're very good at that. All right, Maddie, let's hear yours, kiddo.
At first I thought that Colin will become a little spoiled, but now I know that Colin became Mary and Dickens' master.
Why do you say
Because-
master like this? Was he really their master?
No, because Colin kind of was like, now I feel better with Mary and Deacon around me, and now that I'm kind of in the garden, I can do whatever I wish, and I can walk now, so then I don't really have to say, take me over there. And he just asks them what they are, and then they can answer him.
So are you really thinking about a character change in Colin? Did anyone else think about a character change that might like to respond to Maddie? Lilia?
Good thought. I also thought that a character change he had was from really spoiled and bratty to taking a stand and being a leader.
Can you say more about that, please, Malia?
Well, first when he was bratty and selfish, he would be like, go get me my water now. And they would do it because they were all scared of it. And then when throughout the story he changed to be a leader because he would be nice to the people that were nice to him, but then show a little bit of disrespect to the people that showed him disrespect. And then eventually everybody just got along, and he was a big leader to everybody, and they thought that he was really sweet, and he wasn't this selfish little boy.
Thanks for clarifying. Gracie, you want to share your thoughts?
Mine was a little bit like Maddie's, but I said I'm wondering why why Colin got to have his I thought it was really cool how he had his own line in the book, which was Master Colin at the very, very end. But then but first I thought why, but then I knew, and I thought back into the book and adding on to my sticky note that he was able to walk, and then everyone, he was being nice, and
Nathan, no thank you.
people were being nice to him just like Malia said, that they were all getting along. And so when Colin did, he was like a big leader to everyone else, but he wasn't actually master. It was just like he was a big leader to everyone else.
I thought that was interesting how the author said Master Colin or the young Raja, even though that wasn't really the case anymore. So it was almost like at the beginning that was true. He was in charge of everybody. It was really brassy and bossy and bratty. And then eventually at the end of the book, it became just sort of a joke that he was in charge of everybody. Maddie, did you want to respond to that?
Good thought, but I also thought that maybe why it said Master Colin is because maybe this was kind of dedicated to someone named Colin and who kind of had the same exact character trait as Colin, and maybe there's a little girl who kind of helps him with his life, and maybe there's a little boy who was Yorkshire, but maybe it was really that little girl's brother, and maybe they were just that separated.
So it sounds like you're almost thinking about the author's inspiration or dedication. And you were visualizing a part that I visualized really strongly in my head too. In that chapter before the last chapter where they were talking about how Mr. Craven was feeling so discouraged and eventually started feeling kind of unusual, kind of strange.
Mom's got magical. And then we got the letter from Mrs. Salisbury, and he was like, oh, Mom, I want to see what's going on.
And so what was so special when he came home? What was the magic?
The magic was that Colin was actually standing up and rolling around, and he wasn't a hunchback.
And that was the part that sort of took all our breath away. You almost started crying too.
This book was like at the end was pretty emotional. It was like
pretty emotional.
happy and sad.
Classics movies were like that.
Good observation. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Because Charlotte's Web is a classic, and I honestly do cry at the end of the movie or the book. And also other books are classics, and they usually have the same sense at the very end, where it's a happy and sad feeling at the same time.
That's a confusing feeling, but I think that's a quality way to end a book. We've talked a little bit about that in our class before too, about the best books are the books that make you feel something. Grace, are you ready to share your thoughts?
Yeah, I shared mine, but like Savannah said, that classics are little like emotional because they're happy and sad, is because have you ever seen the movie my mom used to watch this when she was a kid, Akila and the Bee?
Yes.
That really made me sad when like all the people who died in that story or movie, and I just thought that was sad. So and just like lots of other movies are classics when you feel like the character did. So like if the character like Akila, her dad died, and so I feel like the character, I felt like the character knew how she said she was.
That's really the ultimate state of putting yourself in the character's shoes, right? Feeling like you're really part of the story. Maddie?
Can I please clarify for you, Gracie? So it's kind of like movies have an emotional ending, just like classic books, because in the movie E.T., at the end it's so sad because he leaves, and also in the movie, because my mom used to watch this movie all the time as she was a kid, and when Colin, it's kind of like tears of joy, a lot of writers say, because when you are reading a really happy book and then something really magical happens, all that power comes back to that person, and the story kind of gets a little bit happier in the end, because have you ever watched Home Alone 2?
Okay, I'm gonna tunnel vision you back in just a little bit, kiddo, because I think we've got a lot of movies that we're thinking about that have emotional endings, and I want to ask a question. Can a sad ending be a good ending?
Yes.
Yes, you think so?
And
All right. So go ahead,
it's
Gracie.
not just endings, also. Sometimes, like in this book, it was kind of sad when we found out right in the beginning when all the people were getting wiped out. So it's not, or when her parents didn't really care for her, or so it's not just in the end. It can be in the middle or the beginning, or just other parts like the story.
It goes back to what we were talking about in our author study, how when you create a feeling, right? That's what makes a really good story. There's creating the feeling and telling the story when they come together. It's a really great book. So this is the first time that I've ever done a book club with The Secret Garden. So I'm curious about your ratings of the book on 0 to 5 stars. But first, Malia, I think you wanted to make a connection.
Yeah, I have.
What kind of connection is this then?
It's an author connection.
Text to text, okay.
They are both by Frances Hodgson Burnett. And The Secret Garden, it starts out in India and you go to England. Well, that's the same case with Little Princess because there's this girl that's a rich, she has a rich dad, and she's like his little princess, but her mom died, and then eventually her dad dies too, and that's kind of what happened with Mary, and then they both describe the children as ugly.
It's unusual, isn't it?
But really, if you look at their covers and how they are described in the book, you realize that, well, they may be ugly to some people, but to my perspective, they're both really pretty.
Yeah, but also ugly might not just mean pretty, or sorry, the opposite of pretty, but ugly can mean like how they act.
Like ugly heart?
Yeah,
Purple heart is how he says.
so it's like you're mean, or you're like stabbing people in the back, or you're doing other things to like you're spoiled and stuff. So that kind of describes ugly.
That would make sense for Secret Garden, but for Little Princess, that doesn't make sense at all. She's like the sweetest princess in the world.
And you're only at the beginning?
Yeah.
So would you recommend Little Princess to everybody?
Yeah.
All right, let's hear your ratings. You ready? So any other
I
thought?
have a question. I want to read the back of the book. Little Princess.
Not right now, because we're talking about Secret Garden right now, okay? But I would definitely encourage you to read Little Princess first. All right, we ready for our ratings? This is going to be your elevator speech, right? If you're in an elevator with somebody and you've got 1 minute to sort of sell the book to them, tell me your rating and why. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, Malia?
I would
0 out of
give
5.
The Secret Garden a 5.
5 stars. Why?
Because it starts out really sad, but then in the middle it's really happy and you realize, oh, maybe this is going to end happy. But it ends kind of emotionally, but in a good way. So I would give this book a 5-star rating because you never know what's going to happen next.
So create some suspense. Thank you. Maddie, what's your rating in your speech?
I would give it a 5 because when an author has a very sad introduction, then you kind of know that it's going to kind of have a little topping that you're going to love, because when you have a story that has like a really happy introduction, you're gonna have the same as the conclusion, because when an author has a very storyteller voice, you can kind of tell what's gonna happen at the end.
So you're really thinking about the changeover from the mood at the beginning to the mood at the end? Okay, thank you. Savannah?
Well, I would also give it a 5-star rating because it's like mysterious and you feel like it could happen in real life, because you feel like that could happen, but then again it's also like fantasy because of the secret garden and the fact that Carlie was just in the room the whole time and like she didn't know.
So it's some genre crossover between realistic fiction and fantasy. I like how the author does that. It's a realistic fiction story, right? It's historical, but she plays with this idea of magic, and is that real or is that not? I thought that was interesting. All right, Gracie, wrap this up, sister.
I would also give it a 5 because the author was really like starts out sad, and then we know that it's sort of funny in some of the parts where we just thought it was kind of funny, and then it's sad and all different kind of emotions that make you wonder what's going to happen next. So it's kind of like she's playing it step by step, like really small parts, step by step. So it's not just like it's not just like she spreads it out like a huge, like from one end and to another. She really describes one part of the story like really good.
She uses that descriptive text structure we've been talking about.
So it's not just like it's sad one part, comedy one part, or something like that.
She mixes up the emotions as she goes along.
So it could be like a pattern. So I just really like how she organizes the book and how it's put into little sections.
Final words, Savannah?
I was going to say about business. You know how it's like she's taking all the steps. She's not going one giant leap all the way to the bottom. She's going one step at a time.
And I wonder if that could be sort of like a metaphor for Colin's process of how he changes too. He changes from someone who doesn't walk to someone who does. You have Mary who changes from this very bratty girl to very kind and sweet. So it's almost like the author was trying to sort of take us on a journey as Mary and Colin are being taken on a journey too. All right, girls, thank you so much for sharing your thinking. That was the last thought, honey bun. Thanks so much for sharing your thinking. This has been a very enjoyable book club, and I'm very proud of all of you for challenging yourself with your reading and for sharing in a group. So high fives all around. You can work on your summer reading plan, okay? Okay, so this book is called Plenty of Pets. It's a realistic fiction book. Here's the introduction. Nate loved animals and really wanted a pet. He was allergic to all kinds of animals, so he was feeling sorry for himself. Read to find out what made him feel better. I'm going to have you read with me out loud to the square, and then you may quietly finish on your own. Okay? Okay. Go ahead, start reading whenever you're ready. Out loud for me, kiddo.
Mr. Lee, Mr. Lee's commanding voice brought the classroom to attention. Listen up. I need someone to care for Scooter this weekend. I need volunteers, all of the students who hoped to be picked to bring home the adorable fuzzy hair, shot their hands up high. Instead, Nate put his chin in his hand and sighed. Although Nate loved animals, he was allergic to everything furry, fuzzy, or feathery. The bell rang. Nate grabbed his backpack and headed home in a downpour. His neighbor, Mr. Gonzalez, pulled up beside him in his Marv minivan. Up in, she said. It's a deluge out there. Even before the door closed, Nate's nose started to tickle. Ouch! He sneezed. Achoo! He sneezed loudly. Achoo! Achoo! Rubbing his red, itchy eyes. Nate cracked. Is there an animal in here? It's Daisy, Miss Gonzalez said. She has got a pudgy bulldog poked his head over the front seat. They walked home, a sniffling Nate woke up Saturday morning, feeling sorry for himself. Why do I have to be allergic to everything? He fretted as he treaded downstairs. His mom smiled. I have exciting news, she exclaimed. My friend Dr. Hunig, who works at the aquarium could use your help with the animals. Saturday. How about it?
Would you read the rest of it on your own in your book nook and then come back?
Okay.
Alright, ready for some questions? Alright. So what was Nate's problem in the story?
He was allergic to any hair or fur or feathers animals. So he loved animals, so he wanted to get a pet. But he couldn't.
And what else happened?
He was sad because he couldn't take home the pet guinea pig, I think it was, or a hamster. And he went to the aquarium, and his mom bought him a goldfish while he was there, a silverfish.
Why do you think Mom sent Nate to the aquarium?
Because so that way he could see what it'd be like kind of to have a pet, or to see if he was allergic to water animals that don't have fur or skin or hair.
You said at the beginning Nate felt sad because he was allergic to so many pets. Do you think Nate's mom knew how he felt?
I don't think. I don't think she knew exactly how he felt, because it never said that she was allergic. But I think I predicted that she felt bad for him.
Can you unpack that a little bit?
Nate is allergic to him, but I don't know. It never told us if she's allergic, and I'm predicting she's not. So I think, so I don't think she knows exactly how he feels about not being able to have pets, because I think she may have had one, but never told us that. But
So
I think she felt bad for him.
Yep, she felt bad for him. What makes you think that?
Because I think what would happen, I think my mom would feel bad for me if I couldn't get any pets, or I would feel bad if I had a kid and they couldn't get pets because they were allergic.
So you're putting yourself in the character's shoes there?
Yep.
Why do you think Mom sent Nate to the aquarium?
So that way he could learn. So that way she could so that way he could get to spend time with animals that he's not allergic to, and so that way he can't to see, and also to see if he really is good.
Did you like the ending when he got the silverfish?
Yeah.
What did you like about it?
I liked how at first it's like if you've never got a fish before at the store, then you don't know what's happening because it's a see-through bag filled with water, and inside that kind of suspense if we stop there, but inside is a silverfish.
Did you notice that Nate gave that fish a name?
Yeah.
What did he name it?
I think it was Splash.
What did you think about that?
I was like, Splash? Isn't that the dolphin's name? So I thought it was kind of a good, happy ending.
What does the title Plenty of Pets mean?
It means like he went to the aquarium and there were lots. If you go back to the first page, he told his mom about all those animals, and he got to feed them. So I think the author was referring to how there's so many animals there, and he's not allergic to them, so they're kind of like pets.
Don, you did an excellent job with that book. And I want to tell you, at the beginning of the year, do you remember what level of reading you started out at?
Was it like a 12 or a 20?
16, right? Close to the middle, 16. And do you know what you just read for me?
20?
38. Can you believe it?
Is that where I'm supposed to be?
That's exactly where you're supposed to
And
be,
then I
buddy.
pass?
Of course you
Yay.
pass. Give me 5. And I want to tell you that I don't care so much about the level as I care about how hard you've been working, because you've been using your reading strategies, you've been working on this at home, you've been expanding your genres, and you have just like blown my mind with how hard you've worked on reading this year. How does it make you feel?
Good.
You should be
Excited.
excited, yeah. You should be very proud of how well you've worked and how much you've done to become a better reader this year. I'm very proud of you. Way to go, Hannah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thinking that planning for a summer reading life is important because it helps you focus in on what you are into, and it also expands your horizons and what you're not. Okay, Stephen, would you share your thought again, please, about why it's helpful to plan for a summer reading life?
The reason is that people need to get better at reading, so they practice over the summer.
Practice over the summer to get better at reading. Thank you. And Brielle, what did you say?
I said that you might say that I have nothing to read during the summer, so when you're at the library for the game, so you might have to have a less worry about it.
Okay, so planning ahead gives you a list to read for the summer so that you don't get to the library, the bookstore, and say, I have nothing to read, and then you just don't read, right? All right, Sailor, could you share your thought again, please?
How readers plan for a summer reading life is they plan out so they don't get confused, and that when they go to the library, then they'll know, then will have more interest.
So you have higher interest if you plan ahead. Thank you. Walter, what did you want to say?
I just wanted to say, what's the point of doing this? Because you can just go to the library, read the back of the book, and then overlist that you liked it. Which book is this series?
It's a quality question. You want to respond to that, Luke?
It's better to know, so you're not like you read the back and 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 read a bunch of different books. It's better just to know which one you like instead of just going to the library and reading the plot synopsis of books.
So we can do a combination of reading the back, right, and planning ahead. So it's important to do both of those things. When you get to the library, you can actually read the back, but beforehand you plan ahead so you don't waste all your time reading backs of books. Luke?
I wrote on my thought check that you have to be ready. It's good to plan because I can't remember what I wrote.
Did you lose your train of thought?
Yes.
Okay, while I walk over the big idea board, will you find your train of thought? You ready, kiddo?
Almost. It's that it's better to know what you have to know what people recommend to you. It's how they make a reading plan. You know people recommend to you and what you want to read, and then you do your best to find and read as many of those books that either you want to read or someone recommended to you as possible over the summer.
Okay, sounds like you just answered our 2 big idea questions for reading today. What are some benefits of a reading community? Helps you plan recommendations for summer. How do readers plan for a summer reading life? They take recommendations and things they're interested, they plan ahead so that they'll be ready to read over the summer. That's very important. Thanks for your reflection and your thought today. You may put your hands down. And it's time to line up for gym.